Yeah, I'm being super not hot and saying this, being real cool. This is a cool take.
Being super not hot. All right, welcome back to episode 3 of the Mogul Podcast. We appreciate you tuning back in. We are looking to continue to bring you guys exciting news, updates on sports, college sports, name, image, and likeness, culture, events that are going on in the world, and obviously Philly sports, right, Tommy? There's always room for like some Philly sport.
Jason Kelce still hasn't announced his retirement yet, so I mean, we're all holding on with bated breath. So I guess see a new video every day on social about like, oh, he hasn't announced it yet. There's a new something. So
Yeah.
Philly sports always.
People are saying that he's his favorite Kelce. What do you think about that?
I mean, he's just the most normal dude. You
Yeah.
can't relate to Travis Kelce. Like, no normal person can relate to Travis Kelce. Like, he's literally walking around with Taylor Swift and on every single commercial. He's just not a relatable guy. And then you look at Travis or Jason, he's walking around in flip-flops and a cardigan. Like, this dude rules.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. That probably helps. So first topic of conversation today, which was, I mean, there's a lot of exciting news. I say that every week, right, coming out of especially college sports. But the National Labor Relations Board, the NLRB, finally made Dartmouth's men's basketball players employees. So they classified Dartmouth's men's basketball players as employees, right? And so this is probably the biggest news to come out of college sports, maybe ever, right? But obviously since the ruling around name, image, and likeness to allow college athletes to make money in July 2021, there's a lot to unpack here, but just, you know, for the sake of the conversation, there's likely going to be an appeal by Dartmouth, and you know, this doesn't affect the entire NCAA or all student athletes. It just right now affects and impacts Dartmouth's men's basketball players.
So it's just interesting because I feel like why would Dartmouth, like, just the normal person, I feel like the question is like, why would Dartmouth want to appeal that? Because it seems like it's good for their student athletes. So like,
yeah,
I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate a little bit, but like, why would Dartmouth want to appeal that?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think when you think about the schools and how the NCAA has acted for the last 100 plus years since their existence, the amateurism model is what they are looking to preserve, right? Like the NCAA doesn't want to get into where they have to, or you know, have their member schools paying their athletes a percentage of the revenue from whatever it might be, right? From ticket sales, merchandise sales, broadcasting rights, all that type of stuff. And so Dartmouth, right, to your question, like, I think there's always pros and cons, right, to this conversation around employment. But I think Dartmouth is looking at it like they don't want to have their athletes unionizing and, you know, having to get into the conversation around like collective bargaining and those types of agreements, right? I think that's far down the road, if at all. So I definitely want to talk about some of the pros and cons to this conversation and how it could potentially impact college athletes, but I just don't see this taking stance again right now over the entire student athlete body, just, you know, men's basketball players at Dartmouth.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting because you look at like what's going on in the Big Ten and the SEC, and it's like they're kind of like fighting for that, right? Almost like essentially. I mean, not maybe like for that, but for some sort of like ruling in favor of athletes, kind of.
Yeah, they want something in favor of athletes, but they don't want this type of like employment, right? So I wrote down some cons, right? And again, I for every conversation and theory or however you think about something, there's always pros and cons. And I think the argument against it is that this is like employment just creates way more governance over athletes, right? And that's like what's always been the case. And obviously not allowing them to monetize your NIL, but then when you become an employee, people can just really tell you what to do. But then you obviously have the pro on the other side is like you have the ability to come together with your peers and like vote against some of those types of laws. I also think that there's going to be Title IX implications and complexities. So like, argument against again is like there might be a decrease in certain sports programs across the country, right? Like schools might have to, because of resources, right? Like you're not going to be able to have the same resources for, potentially women's sports that you would have for male sports. But I think to your point, Tommy, like the SEC and the Big Ten are trying to come together to really just consult and advocate for student athletes. I don't think they really have any room to vote on anything concrete.
Yeah, I guess that makes more sense.
But yeah, big news coming out of from the NLRB. Employment is a continued topic of conversation. There's always a lot to unpack, and I think what, to your point again, what the SEC and the Big Ten are doing that's good is like they're including student athletes in the conversation, right? So like having student athletes at the table is always going to be first and foremost, of the utmost importance, right? Because they're the ones living through it.
Do you think because Dartmouth is, obviously nothing against Ivy League athletics, Ivy League athletics are great, but do you think obviously they value their sports less than, say, the SEC or the Big Ten? Do you think getting something like that done is a lot easier in that environment versus, an SEC or a Big Ten like school? Like getting something like that done would be pretty much impossible, right?
Getting something like what done?
Like that, what they passed at Dartmouth, the amateurism or the
employment.
The employment, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I think to your point though, the prioritization of some things are definitely going to be different at a Dartmouth versus like an Alabama.
For sure.
And I just obviously like the athletes are not being paid, or they're not getting athletic scholarships, right? I think the payments are more for educational benefits, right? And I think so. The last thing I'll point out here is that the decision to make men's basketball players at Dartmouth employees came off of this statement here, right? So coaches and other school officials control the work performed by the Dartmouth men's basketball team, and the players perform that work in exchange for compensation. So, right, it's not the athletic scholarships; it's just compensation, for whatever academic or educational benefits. But still, right, like
another thing I'll be curious to see is like how, well, of course, there's a long process to go along here, and they'll appeal it, and who knows what'll even come of this, but how they would pay everybody, like who gets what, if you're the starting five, you get paid X amount, but if you're on the bench, you get paid, this amount. It's just an interesting thought, and there's, right now there's a lot of talk about so and so is getting starting quarterbacks making this amount of money, and what's the locker room like because of that? I mean, the locker room would be turned totally upside down if you had guys making actual salaries, and what some guys making walking into the locker room. So yeah, that could be wild too. That could get really wild. Did you hear about Toby Keith? Sorry to kind of switch it up a little bit. I don't know if you're.
I don't know. I didn't know who that is.
Big.
What does he sing?
Made in America. Red Solo Cup, I feel like was a big one. that you might know. Red Solo Cup. I
Nope.
fill you up. Let's have a party. No?
Now keep going though.
Let's have a party. I love you, Red Solo Cup. I fill you up. I mean,
No,
I could go on.
not my cup of tea.
I could go on. Nah, he was a great country singer, but he passed away from cancer today.
I saw that.
So, rest in peace to Toby Keith. I was blessed to see him in concert a while ago, and cool story actually. I don't know if you know Eric Church. He's a big country guy too, but he opened for him at the time, and absolutely nobody knew who he was. And me and my dad are sitting there like, this dude's pretty good. He actually might turn into something. And then 2 or 3 years later, he's like performing at like the big, what do you call it, the Country Music Awards or whatever. So
That's awesome. CMA Awards. So
yeah, CMAs, yeah. But pretty cool stuff.
dope. Yeah, I'm not a big country guy, but the only time I like country is if I'm on the boat and it's summertime, have a beer in my hand.
Yeah.
That's when I like country, you know?
Can't go wrong with country on the beach or whenever it's warm. If it's warm, throw on some country music when you're golfing, like
Golfing.
it's complete vibe. Yeah, everyone shits on me for the way I say golf. I guess it's just like a Northeast thing. I don't know. Eli shits on me for it too.
That's funny. So did you see Michael B. Jordan on the
I only got
on First Take?
I didn't. I did see him on First Take. I did watch First Take on Friday. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought the Legacy Classic is cool. I think that's really great what he does for HBCUs. I didn't get a chance to watch it this weekend, but I did see the recaps. It looks like there was a couple close games. But I just think that's really, really cool. Like, just giving that platform to HBCUs.
Yeah.
Like, there's some really great players on those teams
Yeah.
every year. So, like, I remember, not just to, highlight one player, but Howard last year had a kid, Elijah Hawkins, who's now transferred to Minnesota this past year, and he's tearing it up for Minnesota. So, I mean,
Why do they have to transfer?
What's that?
So why do they have to transfer? You know?
Yeah, right.
You can just ride it out and play. You know, I mean, you'll always be found if you're talented enough. That's what I say. And so,
I agree to an extent. With an HBCU, it is hard to
get that visibility,
to build your platform and get your name out there. So that's why it is great that Michael B. Jordan is doing this. And I did see a quote that he put out that said like this is one of his biggest parts of his legacy that he wants to last because he's really proud of what he's doing.
Yeah.
So it's cool, good stuff.
Great stuff. It's awesome. I mean, we were a part of it last year, right? Not the Legacy Classic, but college football. What was it? The HBCU.
The HBCU Classic was in.
Yeah, we were part of that last year. I forget who was playing. It might have been Hampton against Howard, but
no, it was Howard and it was Morehouse. Howard and Morehouse.
So yeah, Mogul was a part of that. We worked with one of their title sponsors in Toyota and had one of their athletes, or had a few athletes, Monet Davis and
Malik Miller. Monroe.
No,
Morgan State.
Morgan,
sorry.
I think it's Morgan State.
Apologies. A lot of names. We're throwing out a lot of names right now, so forgive us if we get one wrong.
No, but it was cool. We had fun last year. Working.
That was a really cool experience.
And sad we couldn't be a part of the basketball portion of it, but
is that what that was?
It's just the basketball portion.
Was that you or me?
That's you.
What the heck was that?
But yeah, just to close this segment up, Michael B. Jordan is behind and promotes the Invesco QQQ Legacy Classic, which happens in Newark, New Jersey, where he's obviously born and raised. So this is a big part, like Tommy said, of his personal legacy. And, 4 teams from the HBCU programs are playing in this tournament. And it's all about giving them the platform to continue to grow brands. Obviously, investment from different brands and I think a lot of what he's trying to do is a financial push into the HBCU programs because, like you said, man, there's talent to be found at these programs. So
for sure,
pretty cool what he's doing.
Yeah.
I admire.
Looks like
him
they had a
as
couple good
as an
games
actor
too. It
and
looks like
everything.
the Hampton and Howard final score was 63-61. I know that's a big rivalry game because I remember Monet. They were saying like, yeah, she was saying that we're the real HU because I think that they're both HU, so that's pretty funny.
That's awesome.
I'm sure they were going back and forth in the crowd about that the whole game. So now they got bragging rights until next year at least.
Yeah. How about Monet, man? Like how great was she to work with last year?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, she's like so beyond her years because of how like she just got thrown into that at such a young age.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, give people the background.
Yeah. Me or you?
You.
Yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, Monet was on a Little League World Series team. Taney was they were from the Philly area. And she played on an all boys team when she was, I guess they were the 12-year-old team or whatever it was, but she absolutely tore it up. She was pitching and she was just tearing it up. She was just
I think they won the championship, I think.
They didn't win it all. They went really far, but they had the whole area like completely
engulfed in it.
Everyone loved it. It's like that part of the summer where like the Phillies aren't really into it yet. It's not like full swing. It's kind of a dead period. So everybody just absolutely loved it, and she went crazy. She was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. She was everywhere. She was probably being interviewed by like Good Morning America, ESPN, everything. And I can only imagine that it had to be so hard for someone so young.
12-year-old.
Yeah, dude. Like I can't imagine the pressure. Yeah, and just like anxiety and just like being so. I would be so nervous just going to like. It's wild. So to be able to meet her and hang out with her for the day was awesome, and you know you learn a lot. I feel like from someone like that. It's just like so mature and just beyond her years, you know.
And humble and graceful.
Humble.
And now
so
she's
humble.
gonna, hopefully pursue something in broadcasting, and I think she's gonna do phenomenal. Right. I definitely want you to include a clip, even if it's from like our little.
Yeah. That was cool too. That
diamond
was a really
walk
good idea.
around.
We should have done that more.
Our friends over at Liquid IV are fully focused on all things energy for the month of February. Our athletes will be able to partner with Liquid IV and highlight their energy multipliers. Through this partnership, athletes get access to monthly restocks on their favorite multipliers, 20% off Liquid IV for their friends, family, and communities, and access to new and exclusive launches. Pretty cool idea, pretty cool opportunity for all athletes on mobile. Next up, Circle K is back in the game. They're the gas station convenience store everyone knows about. Mogul athletes are teaming up with Circle K and going to their nearest store and capturing some of their favorite late-night snacks. Circle K is America's thirst stop. Senior Bowl game. So, funny story. This guy, Dalton, I forget his last name. I'll give him a shout out. But he played running back at New Hampshire. And
Dylan Lobby.
No. I'm going with the story, Tommy. This guy played running back. No. It's a different part of the story. This guy played running back named Dalton, and he just moved into my building. So he's an older guy. But he played running back at New Hampshire, and we started chatting about a month ago. He just moved in, and he went on to go play in the NFL for a little bit, and was kind of a journeyman. I think played for like 3 or 4 teams or whatnot. But he has business background. He's in business now, works in venture capital, and we got to kicking it off and hitting it off, talking about business and whatnot. And then I saw him today, and it just brought me to realize that the kid that was playing running back in the Senior Bowl this week was the kid from New Hampshire and had a hell of a game. And he was the talk of the town. He was the talk of the weekend for the Senior Bowl.
Did he have anything to say about him? Like,
No, I was asking more about like his size and and he was like, yeah, he's about 5'10", 208, stocky type of guy. But
I didn't even know he was that big.
Yeah, what were you saying that his looks?
Well, I'm big on social, so I was on TikTok.
Are you? Oh, you are.
I am. And I was on I was on Instagram and TikTok all weekend, and people were kind of flaming him just for his looks. He's kind of like a 5'10", like white guy running back. They were kind of flaming him, and I didn't appreciate it.
I really wonder what they were saying. That's funny. I didn't know that.
You know how comments are nowadays, man. They're brutal. They'll say anything, and they get creative with it. But yeah, so I went back and I looked at his highlights, and I'm like, this dude's nasty. Like,
yeah,
this dude was nice. So yeah, I just thought that was funny. Like, people just judge a book by its cover, and he'll probably 100%. Go in the league. I did see a bunch of like Belichick's gonna grab him like right up and just eat him.
There's another white receiver that they were saying like this guy's gonna go be in the next Cooper Cup on the Rams, and it's just funny how that stereotype is built.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, and it works too.
Yeah,
they're good. They usually
different systems though. Like a Belichick or like a McVay. Like these people know how to utilize these
for sure. But that kid I think you're talking about was McCaffrey, right, from Iowa?
Was it McCaffrey's brother? Yeah, maybe.
Is that his last name, McCaffrey? And maybe
there was a couple.
Maybe I'm mixing it up. Maybe he's not from Iowa. Maybe I'm mixing that all up. But I think his last name is McCaffrey, the guy you're talking about. He's number 3, right?
I don't remember, but
whatever.
McCaffrey's brother was playing in the game, so he could be one of those guys. Who else? Who was the other winner? I had Spencer Rattler as one of the other winners, right? He won MVP from the weekend at the Senior Bowl game. And, man, I have to tip my hat to Spencer for the career that he's had, because he's had so many ups and downs, right? And started off as the number 1 quarterback coming out of high school.
Yeah.
I think like in 2016 or 17. Obviously went on to play at Oklahoma, then was benched for Caleb Williams, then went on to USC, South Carolina, that is. I think just had a pretty consistent career at USC, but then I think now is, people are going to watch and see his improvement, right? I think more so from like a character standpoint as well, and humility standpoint.
I feel like that clip kind of stuck with him for a long time.
What, the one from QB1?
Yeah. I feel like people just can't, you know how that works, so people can't get that one moment like out of their head.
Yeah.
You kind of just have to like do something monumentally bigger to squash that moment. And I'm probably like, I kind of think of him that way, I won't lie, but yeah, I feel like he hasn't done anything like incrementally crazy.
Sometimes you just gotta stay out of the spotlight. Like
that's true too.
Yeah. Like
and I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I mean, I know he probably got caught one bad moment. It's just like, it is what it is. But you gotta. There is something to be said about like kind of shutting people up. Like having that one moment.
What was the clip? I kind of forget, but I kind of remember. Like, I just know it was like a big.
I don't know exactly what he said, but it was something like he was just being a bad teammate. I remember that. It was just like.
Oh yeah, he's talking to receivers or something.
Yeah, I don't remember it exactly, but just the way he kind of
just sticks in your head. See, that's the part. That's the point of it. It just stuck in your head. It's not even what happened. It's just the fact that everyone else was talking about it and you don't forget it.
Yeah, and I'm just being honest. That's just how I feel about it. Like, it just sticks in my head. But and wish him the best. I didn't watch him this weekend. I watched. I got to see a little bit of Penix and I got to see a little bit of Hartman. Mm-hmm. They were just doing some red zone stuff at the time, but yeah, I think that is a lot of fun to watch though. The Senior Bowl stuff. Yeah. I feel like in past years though we haven't gotten as many as big like names as this year. Does that feel that way?
Um, Maybe. I think we've also been really close to the sport this year, and have better educate like we're better educated
That
on
could
like
be it.
who's playing and but yeah, what's interesting, and we can come back to this, but I don't know if you saw like the All American high school games. Are you familiar with those? Like I played in
Yeah.
the Under Armour one, and then there's the
Right.
Adidas one. So this is new that they're going to next year allow juniors to quarterbacks to play in the games because they said that some guys are early enrolling into their school in December,
Okay.
and then helping the teams prepare for bowl games and such where they can't. They've accepted the invitation, but they can't play. So
they're
that
missing out.
Yeah, so they're missing out. So now they're going to allow juniors to play. So it's pretty interesting. I would imagine it's probably somebody like CJ Carr, who went to Notre Dame in December and then was there for bowl prep, and
Right.
he was probably one of those guys that they were talking about. But
Or that kid. What was the name of the kid who was at? It was he was like 16 at the opening, or not the opening, the Elite 11. What committed to LSU?
oh yeah,
Colin,
I forget his
maybe,
name,
or-
Colin something. Yeah, but
So yeah, I feel,
the opening in the Elite 11 usually allow that. Like maybe one or two
okay.
guys, like Minka, for example, went in his like sophomore year or junior year or something like that.
Gotcha.
Crazy. So, but if you're super talented, yeah, the opening, which is Nike's elite camp, guys.
Yeah,
are
I actually
freaking-
got a chance to watch that Under Armour game for a second, and I forget one of the quarterbacks from
this year.
excuse me. Yeah, it was just happened to be on like a Saturday, and I threw it on. It was a couple weeks ago, and the kid who's committed to Penn State, I want to say, I can't remember his name, but you liked him. I remember you kept bringing him up all weekend.
Ethan G or something.
Yes,
like that?
yeah, Grunkmeyer. That's it. Yeah. He was in,
Spins
and
it.
what's that?
He can spin the hell out of it.
Yeah, he had a great week in California, but he got hit like low in the game, and I was like, damn, dude, like this is like a real game. Like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
feels like it. I mean, it feels like it shouldn't, because it's
Right.
kind of.
It's kind of like a bowl game type
It's
thing.
kinda-
like,
yeah.
Guys might like start treating it as such, right? Like
Yeah.
like almost.
I mean, especially now when it's like, who knows who's going to be at the games, right? I'm sure there's college coaches there, because I'm sure there's guys who are
Still uncommitted.
uncommitted. So
Yeah.
it's like, especially if there's like still money on the table, it's like, of
Right.
course I'm going to go all out. Like maybe I can get a better offer and I can earn myself more money. Like,
Right. Who knows?
So-
Yeah, I think also Cam Hart, just a few other names, right? I think there's a bunch of guys from the Notre Dame.
oh
team
yeah, I
that
did
were
actually
there.
see him going up 1-on-1 against Sam. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. They probably know each other too well.
Yeah. That was always fun, going up against guys, having them talk shit against you in practice.
Yeah, how does that work? Do you think who has the upper hand there, the quarterback or the DB?
I think I don't know. I think the quarterback has the upper hand, especially when you don't have a guy that is a receiver that you're accustomed to going up against. Like if it's a new, like Cam Hart going up against Roman Wilson, for example.
Right.
There's not really much. They don't know each other. They don't know the way that the other.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't know where to put the ball.
Yeah, so like, I don't know. It's an
Yeah,
interesting
they're not in sync with
dynamic.
each other. That makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, how about Jared McCain? Are you on TikTok? You're on TikTok, right? You're a big social
I'm on
media
TikTok.
guy.
He's big with the social media guy. He's big with the what's his thing now? What's his song?
The song. I'm 2 days into college and
2 days into
election
college.
behind. 3 letters. I don't even know the song.
The,
but yeah, it's like stuck in everyone's head. And
Yeah, there's an edit that got put out by this guy Jordy on TikTok that was awesome too, where he just like put all these Duke clips together of
the
Jared
song.
playing. Yeah, to the song.
talented, man. Like the reason I wanted to talk about him is because he put up his first double-double this weekend against UNC, which is obviously their biggest rival. And, obviously there's probably conversations and speculation around, like, can you be a TikToker and have this type of personality to be on social media every day and then still go and produce, right? And be a productive member of your team. And he does that. He does that so damn well for Duke. So it's been cool
I
to
still
watch
remember when he was in high school, like, catching all that flack. Like, TikToker, you're just a TikToker. Like, there was videos going out of him, like, mixes. Like, right before it would be like, oh, he's just a TikToker.
Yeah.
And it would just, like, boom, cut right to, like, the beat drop, and it would be, like, him just getting a quick 30 on some random team. And it's just, like, this dude's so nice. Like, you can't even – he's just let him do whatever the hell he wants. Like, he's just a bucket. Like, and then he goes to Duke, and then that just kind of, like – I feel like that just rubs salt in the wound for all those type of people,
Those haters.
Like, the haters, yeah.
It's a new world that we live in, baby. Get used to it.
Exactly, yeah.
Get used to it.
But, yeah, I mean, you look on TikTok, every athlete's on TikTok now. So I feel like he was kind of one of those. I mean, obviously there's a ton of people. We had Mac on a couple weeks ago, who's a pioneer of that kind of that, I don't know what way to put it, but just like how you operate,
that evolution,
just how you handle, just not really caring, just putting yourself out there. So there's plenty of examples, but Jared just another one of them. Did it, in high school, wasn't afraid to put himself out there. And now I see high school athletes doing it all the time, every day, putting out dances and whatnot. There's a kid who goes to Wood, 4-star,
what is Wood, Tommy? For people who don't know. People don't know what Wood is. Come on, man.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Who went there?
I did go there. Archbishop Wood Catholic High School.
I know you went there, but who else?
Oh, I thought you said who went there.
I did. I said who else?
Actually, I thought you said you went there. I did go there. A lot of people went there. Kyle Pitts, Con Gillespie, Mark Webb, Raheem Blackshear.
Have some talent.
Yeah, dude. All within the 2013, 2018, bunch of dogs. I had nothing.
So Marvin and Kyle did not go there.
No, they went to St. Joe's Prep, and they're a little bit younger than me. But Philly area, all dogs. But back to what I was saying. What the heck was I saying? Before we went.
Mac.
Jaleel. Yeah, I just see every single day we got this kid over at Wood. He's a 4-star, or he's the number 4 player in his class. I keep saying 4-star. He's the number 4 player in his class.
Basketball.
And he's just he's massive on TikTok. That's I feel like he built half of his brand that way, just doing dances and.
Kai and Anthony, same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're like boys, I think.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's crazy. Social media, crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a crazy world that we live in. But this is
I'm
part
2
of
days
it.
into college.
This is a part of it, and this is how athletes are going to, like you said, build their brand for the next level. They need to have this type of brand recognition before they get to the pros, and then some people might not even make it to the pro level, and then they have this personal brand that they can still monetize. So It's a win-win for the athletes. It's a win-win if you can keep the main thing, which is your sport and academics, then all else will fall in place for you. Speaking of college, who has the most players in the Super Bowl?
I thought we were done with that. I thought we were not doing that anymore.
Oh, no, that was the only time we did it, so we can do it once. We can do it once a show. But Super Bowl this week, who you got?
Super Bowl 58, Chiefs. 100%. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes, I said this last time.
Not betting against him ever again.
No way. Chiefs by, I don't know. I think that what it's really going to come down to is, can you stop Christian McCaffrey? Right? Can their defense hold Christian McCaffrey to a reasonable amount of yards? And obviously Debo's back, right? So
what's a reasonable? I want your take, right? Because I want us to be able to resurface this clip next week after the pod and after the game and say, Tommy was right, Brandon was wrong. Brandon was right, Tommy was wrong. I'll give you my take.
Sure.
After
go
you
ahead.
go. All right, so I'll go. I think tight ends are going to have a hell of a game.
Okay.
I guess you can just say whatever the hell you want to say and have a take on it. And if it's right, it's right. But if it's not, it's not.
That's a take. You just defined a take.
I think George Kittle is going to have 100-plus yards. I think Travis will have, 9 to 12 receptions for 100-plus. And I think it's going to be a tight end battle.
I like that.
Did
you see the clip of Kittle after the game or after the last time they were in the Super Bowl?
No.
He was like, "I will be back here." He's like muttering it under his breath. He's like, "I will be back here." And I'm like, this dude. I'm like getting chills just saying it right now. I'm like, this
That's
dude
cool.
is a freaking.
That's
that just
awesome.
charged me up. But yeah, I think that Kittle hasn't had a huge game. If maybe I'm crazy in saying that. Maybe he has had a couple good games with some receptions and
Like a breakout one, like
yeah. I think he just hasn't had 8 catches for 100-some yards and a touchdown. I haven't seen that Kittle all playoffs. I feel like maybe I'm missing a game out or something. I don't know, but
we'll double
yeah,
check.
I agree with that take. I don't know, dude. I just think that McCaffrey is. This isn't a hot take at all in saying this. And I'm being super. I don't know what the word is, but yeah, I'm being super not hot in saying this. Being real cool. This is a cool take.
Being super not hot. You're just going with the status quo, right? What's stereotypical? What's already known? You're not going against the grain in this take.
Now,
Go ahead.
I'll throw a take out there. I'll go. I'm gonna say that McCaffrey is just held under 100 total yards for the game, and I'll say that
Total yards meaning receiving
and rushing, which
combined.
which would be ridiculous if that happens. So that is kind of a hot take. And then
that is a hot take.
Yeah, and I'll go Mahomes has over 300 yards passing and over 3 touchdowns
In the Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
It's another fucking hot take, bro.
It's the GOAT right there.
Over 300 yards in a Super Bowl is crazy. I think just because they have so much time to prepare, you have an additional week to prepare. But I mean, if anyone can do it, it'd be Pat Mahomes, So we shall come back here and revisit these takes.
Revisit.
I think that's gonna be awesome.
This one thing I wanted to get into. I wrote this, but I wanted to get your take on it. Bo Nix at Senior Bowl. I forgot. We probably should have left this in on the Senior Bowl stuff, but he said, "I think it's okay and respectful to claim both Auburn and Oregon, but obviously when you're doing announcements and stuff right now, I'm from Oregon. What's your take on? So like you're a guy who's obviously played at 2 different schools.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit different in your situation because you hold such pride for Notre Dame. But
you could be honest, Tommy. Tell me why it's different. That's what. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean it's Notre Dame. And
no, but I didn't play at UCF, right? I didn't have the career I had at UCF.
Well, yeah, that. I mean, if you want to, that's true. That is true.
So
I wasn't
where
going.
You excel.
Honest to God. There you go.
In my opinion, it's where you excel, right? Cam Newton, for example, Florida versus Auburn. He's going to claim Auburn, right?
All day.
Jalen Hurts. That's an interesting one, right?
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is an interesting one. Kyler Murray, obviously is going to lean towards Oklahoma. So I understand, right? Obviously he won.
I think that Bo Nix is kind of an interesting one, too. If you think about him, he kind of had...
But people don't remember. You might remember Bo Nix at Auburn, but he wasn't in the spotlight. He wasn't winning. He wasn't coming down to the Heisman Trophy, race as number 2 at Auburn.
Yeah,
right.
That's fair.
I think he spent 2 years at Oregon and put up some extreme numbers, and did things at Oregon that you would expect a quarterback to do at Oregon. And he made a way bigger name for himself while he was at Oregon. And so his own, and it's really where you are in your own brain, man. Like where you have your most success in your own head. And I think for Bo, it was easily, Oregon, and he probably had more of a riveting and like awakening when he was at Oregon. You know what I mean? So it's kind of just, and I don't know. It's not even always necessarily where you graduate from. I don't know. I think it's such a. It's not a novel experience anymore for guys to transfer and have, two different experiences at two different programs. So I just think it's really ultimately where you have the better performance. And
I guess even now, especially, that'll be becoming more and more a thing. So that's just
100%.
That's going to be a commonality, and guys are just going to have to get used to something like that. And I guess that's a great way of putting it, like where you see yourself, like where you see success.
Yeah,
that's
where you saw more success. Yeah, so
only you can define that.
Only you can define that. Nobody else. Like Bo could definitely claim Auburn because that's where it started. That's who gave him the opportunity. I don't know if I think he probably graduated from there, but I think that's his opinion. So
right. Okay, we're doing a new thing here. We're gonna do NIL deal of the week. Brandon doesn't have one, but I do.
I do have one.
You do have one?
Yeah, go ahead. You share yours. Mine's better.
All right. Now I'm going to butcher his name. Yeah, this is JT Tulamaiau. Tumalaiau of Ohio State, outside linebacker, signed a deal with Head and Shoulders. I think that's awesome. He literally has some awesome hair. Looks just like kind of like a Troy Polamalu vibe with the puffy out of the helmet. I remember back in the day, the old I think Troy Polamalu was like the first athlete to sponsor Head and Shoulders, so it's a perfect collaboration there. I love that.
All right, that's your deal of the week. I love it too. I think it's awesome. It was also brought to us by the collective, the 1870 Collective, which has done so much for
there you go
Ohio State. So just more ways collectives are getting involved. My deal of the week, Tommy, which is brand new, don't even know if you saw it yet, but Georgia's quarterback, Carson Beck, purchases Lamborghini Urus Performante, or Performante, whatever you want to call it. And the purchase price was roughly $300,000. So not a typical NIL deal, but just shows you the purchase power of NIL and what it can do for athletes. So $300,000, you go purchase a car. I'm sure you got a little bit of a discount, and we'll have to do a little bit of promotion, but still, guy goes out, purchases a Lamborghini. Not a bad day at the office.
Lambo, Jesus.
Yeah.
I just can't picture that guy in a Lambo. He doesn't strike me as a Lambo guy. Not at all. Yeah. Well, Carson Beck. He strikes you as a Lambo guy. He's getting out of a Lambo at the facility every day. What color is that Lambo?
It's black. I don't know, man.
Black.
Maybe black and red. Yeah, I see some red accents on it, but I don't know.
He seems like a guy who would struggle to get out of that Lambo.
The guy's going to be a Heisman hopeful next year. I don't know what you're talking about.
He's a big guy. He's 6'5". He's got long legs. Those are short to the ground.
Yeah.
He's going to have a hard time getting out of that vehicle.
All right, well, we'll see. We'll see him driving, and we'll, again, revisit these hot takes.
I'm going to see him driving, and I'm just going to tear up a little bit that I don't have my own Lamborghini.
Yeah, it's fine. Yep.
It's all good. It's fine. It's no worries. Doesn't matter.
NIL deal of the week. Well,
NIL deal of the week. There you go.
All right. Well, I'll wrap it up, and we'll end it with that NIL deal of the week, and Tommy botching who or which college has the most NFL or Super Bowl players, or players in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. We'll have something. We'll have something next week. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Thank you guys for joining again. We hope to next week be able to have more and a better understanding around the decision by the NLRB for Dartmouth's men's basketball players and some of the implications for the rest of the NCAA and the amateurism model. So stay tuned. Follow us on all of our socials, on Instagram, on the Mogul Podcast, and where you can stay up to speed on updates and some of our favorite deals and athletes of the week. Thanks, Tommy.
Peace.
Peace.